We've now arrived at our final session of today, and I'm sure that it will be an interesting one. We've invited the CEOs of some of the smaller licensed operators in the Dutch online market. We've named the session David versus Goliath, and I think you can all see where this is going. What do you need to survive in the Dutch market if you're not the biggest kid on the block? This is not an unimportant question. In markets with only limited legal competition, consumers may be quite inclined to seek out illegal alternatives, which is not good for anyone. Here to further expand on the David versus Goliath themes are, first of all, Cristiano Blanco, who is the CEO of Casino.nl. Cristiano, please come to the stage. Kastelijns, who is CEO of Circus.nl, as well as Mazij, who is CEO of Bragg Gaming Group, which is a major supplier to the Dutch market. Welcome, Cristiano, Frank, and Matevž. We are very happy to have you here on stage. In preparation for the boat trip that we all just do, we're not able to get everybody beers, but at least for the effort of entertaining the last part here, we have some beers for the gentlemen on stage.
I like that. See, no, it's fine. Later.
And please bear.
So we said to Willem, if we don't get beer, we don't come.
Exactly. So it was pure blackmail. It was pure blackmail. To keep this a little bit interesting and interactive, we're going to do a few slides through the Slido tool. And these questions are designed to give you a binary answer to vote yes or no. So if we can go to Slido, please, that would be very amazing. You don't have to submit questions. You don't have to vote. You just have to. Does everybody have a green? Does everybody have a green and a red paper? That's great. Great. So the first question to the audience is: how much market share do operators need to survive in the Dutch online market? If we can go to that slide, please. Just have to go to the last. Raoul, do we have the last slides? Raoul? Okay. Slides coming up. Anyway, you can start thinking about it. How much market share do operators need to survive in the Dutch online market? There will be 3 options to vote in a second. 1% market share is sufficient, 3% market share is necessary, or at least 7% market share is necessary. We'll go to that in a second, to the first one. So who thinks that 1% market share is sufficient to survive in the Dutch online market? Green or red? Who thinks that 1% market share is sufficient? Green, red, we see mostly green, red, a lot of red.
Oh, everybody's red.
The chairs are also red, it's a bit confusing. I think we have consensus on the red here. So let's move to the next level. 3% is sufficient to survive in the Dutch market. Green or red, please? Please cast your votes. The red, the green, the red, the green. I think we're getting towards the green here, so more optimistic. And then we have how much market share do operators really need in the Dutch market, and at least 7% market share sufficient. If we can go to green and red, I guess it's mostly green, as it was the previous one was also green. Green. So I think that's a good point of discussion here. Then there is a second question from you, and I'm not sure why the slides are not here, but I have everything here for you. How many active remote license holders will be left in 5 years? At least 25, between 20 and 25, fewer than 20. So how many license holders? At least 25, green or red? That looks like a definite red here. Few green optimists in the room, nice. How many active remote licenses will be left in 5 years? Between 20 and 25? Please, let me have you who still quite pessimistic here. Looking at a lot of red here and a few green. And how many active remote licenses will be left in 5 years? Fewer than 20, please. I think we're getting to more consensus here, so I guess the 20 is the answer here. Frank, Cristiano, Matevž, looking at these results, and I'm looking especially on the operator sides here, what are your thoughts on the previous questions? 1, 3, or 7% market share? What's your opinion on that?
I hope 3. That's where we are at the moment. So it looks like we are should be safe, depending on what's going to happen next. So the tax is a big thing, but also regulation changes are a big thing. So compliance is a big chunk of the cost in our company.
Cristiano?
I'm slightly more optimistic, meaning that probably 2.5 might be enough. Of course, it's a very general question, depends on your cost base.
Of course.
I mean, but in general, even a little bit less probably is the line, in my opinion. Yes, of course. And coming back to the second point, maybe.
One second. We get there. Just before, Matevž, it's your B2B provider, so it's a bit tricky to answer. You have an opinion on the 1%, 3%, and 7%?
Our assessment is that 3% is the threshold.
Okay, so I guess we're in consensus with the here. Cristiano, you came late to the market, so you have more energy, so I'm sure you'll get there quickly. So the second question there was, how many remote license holders will there be left in 5 years? And there, I guess we found a consensus sort of between fewer than 20, 25, a few optimistic experts in the room. Cristiano, what did you want to say about that?
No, I just wanted to say that probably if you would have asked me this question this morning, I would say 20, 25.
Okay.
That would be, but now I'll go down to below 20, and I'm telling you why. Because during actually some panel, I was like surprised of how lightly we were discussing or the market-wise deposit limit, because that's the big problem that is coming, and that's when you come to the regulation. I think the definition between 15 and 25, it will depend from that, in my opinion. That's the big problem. As has been said in a few panels before me, the deposit limits are important, but only if you have no black market or very few black market. Otherwise, the sense of the limit get lost. And I'm afraid that we need more fire in our eyes to fight that, because that's the biggest problem to answer that question properly.
Very good. Anything to add to that, Frank?
Yeah, I think that the politicians should listen to the professor we saw earlier today, because if the market, which is now 50-50, goes to 70-30 illegal, then the number of license holders will go down. So the illegal market is a big thing, and the regulation is another big thing. So,
Matevž, from you as a B2B provider, less suppliers in the market, less operators in the market, not good, but maybe concentration effects. Any thoughts?
We would like to see the market grow. We would like to see the regulator to enable the licensed operators to be able to offer safe gaming environment. And it's very difficult for anyone, I guess, in this room to predict what the number of operators is going to be. But if I had to pick a number, I'd say between 15 and 20. Okay. And it's largely going to depend on the ability, again, of the regulator to enforce the regulation and protect the players from the threat of the black market. I think the black market is the biggest challenge here.
So around the number can survive if there's sufficient channeling to,
of course,
to regulate.
And smart regulation. Right now we're seeing in a lot of different international markets, we're seeing over-regulation, we're seeing too many restrictions. It's becoming very unattractive for the end user, and these end users are looking always obviously for an experience. Yeah. And if the experience is not good enough, is not attractive enough, they'll pick an experience that is attractive enough. And usually the black market offers many options where risk is smaller than reward. And they go black market.
Following on to this, and especially pointing to you, Matevž, how do you survive if you're currently under the threshold? Or, and then especially from a B2B perspective, should suppliers, can they help contribute keeping smaller operations in business? Is there a way to make that happen?
Sure. So I think very strict cost control and very strict operational optimization for the operators is going to be absolutely necessary. Focus on retention, player lifetime value, loyalty, stuff that is going to keep the revenues where they need to be for these operators, or at least allow them to push for that, is going to be very important. Automation is going to be very important. The use of smart compliance solutions, responsible gaming solutions. That is what the B2B market should be able to offer to operators, for them to be, in a position to...
So more efficiently?
Yeah, operate more efficiently, operate compliantly.
Yeah. Looking at you, so David versus Goliath, especially from the operator perspective, Frank and Cristiano, which specific costs, including supplier costs, are most affecting your company? Is there anything that can be done about this? So how can you effectively keep your business sustainable in the bandwidth of market share where you are?
Yeah, the providers are definitely the biggest one. In our case, also, as we don't own our platform, so platform services sometimes they're also a big part. So we definitely need the help of the suppliers. We can do it by ourselves. I am a practical person, so actually it's been years that I've been personally fighting and losing till now, just against minimum fees. Because, for example, when I was at Unibet working for them, that was not my problem. But in a smaller operator, it is. Especially when you line up a sort of minimum fee, that could be a problem. And I really would like to have some dynamic minimum fee, because they make sense when, because we need to give some guarantee to the B2B as well. They have a business to run as well. But it makes sense where maybe we are the only one providing that service, but when they are providing only to us. But when they have second client or a third client, maybe we enter into a scaling of business, and maybe the minimum fee can decrease for all the operators they are serving, rather than paying all the same. Because then the principle of the minimum fee can lose effect. And I would like to discuss that not only but all the providers, because that would be dynamic minimum fee. I think that's a huge help for a B2B.
Down or up? Let's see. Frank?
Yeah, what we see is we are the only one in Holland who use the Gaming One platform, and the cost of the changes are killing us. Last year I think we paid over 1 million for all the changes we had. And that's terrible. So that's one side is the government and the KSA who come with new regulation, and you have to implement it and all the changes. So there should also be. So I was in a presentation of FinPlay, and they talk about the Dutch laws and moving targets. So we all time change over change. So that's too much. But I heard another interesting thing is that they get the operators together every quarter or something and discuss together what changes have to be made. Because I think a platform provider like Bragg or FinPlay will have 4, 5, 6 operators on the same platform. If you can decide with a specific number of platform of operators on the changes you need from a compliance and regulatory aspect, then you could win there. Because also for the platform providers, that's not the gain they have to make. They have to from their rev share, and it's also in their interest to keep the industry on its feet. Another thing what I see is that the game providers, I didn't see any game providers going down with the rates. We have the tax going up, and of course, if you know, I'm for a long time in gaming, as you know. So after break even, the profit starts, and then nobody has a problem. But as soon as you're around break even, the cost is a big thing, and because we have to do a lot of compliance, responsible gaming, CS, so you have a fixed cost base, and I think game suppliers and platform suppliers should have also an eye for that, because you could be more, I agree with Cristiano, more flexible to keep the smaller operators on its feet.
So first you say more efficiency by stronger collaboration, and then looking at different ways about the cost base. Following on that, what happens if the gambling tax increases further in 2026? I guess that's what you just referred to, Frank?
That's terrible. terrible. Yeah, I think what operators will do, they will have to play with the return to player, and that's killing the business. So finally, that opens the way to the illegal offering. Of course, also all consumers know that we have this high tax, so they can also calculate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's if you're from an ethical standpoint, yeah, I would look at politics and say, okay, is this ethical to do?
Sounds familiar. I think we heard it earlier. No, but thank you, Frank. Cristiano, higher tax?
Yeah, I mean, similar. We have to go back to the drawing board, and while some operator will leave the market, while some will merge, we need to find a solution, as we did in October. We need to find it again when every challenge comes. However, and I share the same fear, I think that history in other markets as well shows that when the tax high, at the end of the day, one of the easiest solutions is the RTP change. And I don't particularly like to touch that, as we, in the last 5 years, I would say, has been touched already from 96, 94, almost everywhere now. It's something that I don't think is well. It's healthy for players. It's not even something we want. So I would rather keep that balance.
Matevž, anything to add? Tax?
I think that, you know, if you start playing with the RTP, you're going to end up with the German situation where
Exactly.
we are seeing channelization rates drop every month, and I don't know how is that good for anyone. Particularly not good for the player or the end user. The black market is going to go up, and everybody's going to lose. So, absolutely. I don't see how that is benefiting anyone.
Absolutely. Last question to the room. I hope you still have your papers. So, especially relevant what happened in the last 2 weeks. Is there any chance at all for new market entrants? Red or green? Any thoughts? In general, is there any space, any chance for new market entrants? Can we have your votes, please? I see a lot of red. I see a lot of it. I see mostly red, a few green.
One green.
I guess
We should ask the green why.
Yeah. I think that is quite a clear consensus there. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
No,
Yes.
you must be a hero to enter with these premises.
Yeah.
Few heroes in the room. Welcome.
Yeah.
Frank?
I
Matevž?
wouldn't start anymore. So now we're in it, and I think we had the chance to build a GGR base, customer base. But if you have to start now with the limited marketing possibilities, with the growing illegality, I think it's time for the smaller operators to sit together and to see if we can combine forces. And I think that should be the future.
Cristiano, anything to add to that?
No, I agree. As I said, with these premises is about merging, putting together effort with the regulator, with ourselves, with the providers, and trying to find, because it's a short term against long term. I'm personally happy to lose a bit long term for the sustainability of the market. And
lose short term, you mean?
sorry, the other way around. On the short term, to get a sustainable market and business.
Matevž, you're a B2B provider. Any chance for new market entrants?
I don't see many chances for new market entrants to be able to, unless you have extremely deep pockets and extremely efficient structure. There's no chance to enter the market.
Quite clear.
I see, you know, the process go the other way. I see people exiting the market, and I see B2B suppliers exiting the markets. Also in the international markets, the same, like UK and other markets that are over-restricting. You will see people drop their licenses on both B2C and B2B side.
I think if the marketing possibilities were not limited, the smaller operators would already be gone.
Yeah.
You know, because the big companies are above break even, as I explained. You have a lot to spend on marketing.
They'd be flushed out. Yeah, so David versus Goliath even gets...
Yeah, then it would be accelerated.
Yeah.
So.
Last round of quick questions.
I
Sorry.
have one more thing. So I think that the consolidation is going to happen, and that if the GGR is going to say, like the market GGR is going to say where it is right now, like Cristiano said, maybe short term, we're going to see drops, but then long term, if the situation improves, the market's going to be better for everyone, hopefully, right?
Absolutely. Last round of questions, just very quick answer. On a concluding note, do you have any advice for fellow operators or B2B suppliers? Quick answer, please, or snappy, as I should say. Any advice?
New entrants, don't start.
Don't start. But
small
operators.
Small operators, sit together and see if you can join forces on the cost side, and try to keep cost low. From the politics and gaming authorities, they are now totally focused on 30% or 50% of the market legal operators. So that's also a lot of cost, compliance cost and effort to answer all these questions. So please look also into the illegal market, because there's a lot to gain.
Cristiano?
Yeah. No, similar. I mean, we mentioned already, suggestion is try to be as lean as possible when it comes to cost. I really want to partner, and every operator should partner with their supplier to prioritize the long term over the short term. I think that's key. In the next year, we'll have so many challenges, and without each other, we cannot survive by ourselves.
Matevž, any advice for fellow B2B suppliers?
I don't really have an advice. I think operational efficiency is going to be key for both B2B and B2C in this market, and I think that the real threat is like I said, the black market and the growing not growing channelization rate. We're seeing decreased channelization rate, and on both B2C and B2B, I think that operational efficiency is going to be the key.
Great, that concludes this panel. Please stay on the stage for 1 second, but a big round of applause for David versus Goliath. With this, I would like to conclude this Day of Gaming in Holland, 5th of June, next year the 4th of June. Please do think that you need a taxi to get to the airport tomorrow, so please order one or ask any of my colleagues help. We'll be shortly walking across the street to the canal, to the canal boat. There will be one boat this year. A lot of networking, and all the B2B and B2C providers can start discussing this. I would like to thank all our partners, strategic partners, our sponsors, our media partners for this, especially the Gaming in Holland team, Sarah, Jeroen, Raoul, Evelyn, Jonas, our AV and AutoQ suppliers, Sacco, all the speakers that came here today, and I hope to see you again, same place, same time next year. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matevž.
Thank you.